Hello everybody and welcome back. And we have an encounter. We are here at W3, which is called a bandit camp, and we've come across an elf with 4 bandits, and her name is Fjodril. And there's a sign in both Elvish and Common on a tree, and the sign reads, Miss L. Fjodril, equine entrepreneur, dealer in fine horses. And she is an elf. Okay, now this leaves us with many problems. Well, firstly, we'll go up to her. And we'll go up to her, we'll tell her who we are and say we want our horses back. Those are stolen. And it says here, Fjodril is a businesswoman as well as a bandit and would prefer to trade than to fight. If the party approaches and questions her, she will say that she bought 24 riding horses from some goblins a short while ago and she had no idea they were stolen. She offers to sell the horses to the party for 50 gold each, the same as I paid the goblins, and the DM is told that she paid 15 gold each. Right, now how's the party split? Taras will refuse point blank to pay for the horses, as indeed would Donard. Liz is staying after this fight. Sylvia is incensed because these horses are the symbol of her people. This is an elf who ought to know better than that. And it's obviously a lie. Taras says, what do you mean you didn't know these horses were stolen? Where do you think goblins get horses from? And the elf just shrugs and says, not my business. And Sylvia says, there's the blood of 2 people on these horses. She's referring to the 2 stable hands that got killed. You know this. And Taras says, you know we're horse dealers. You must know about Kusin. Now this elf is kind of backed into a corner because it's pretty obvious she's lying. It's pretty obvious to her that we know she's lying. And it's pretty obvious to us that she knows that we know she's lying. Right, so either we fight this one out or we pay up. Tarek is going to try and pay up as much as it loathes him to part with gold. Piotr did offer us 20 gold pieces for the return of the horses for each horse, and Carrick tries to mollify Taras a bit by saying the money that your father was going to pay us, we'll pay it to cover the horses. Now Taras really can't argue against that, but at the same time, this woman steals and stolen horses. Sylvia, for once, does not want to trade, and she is not looking for the good way out. At the same time, she's stuck between fighting and resolving this as simply as possible. So on one side we've got Malin, who doesn't want to fight and is quite happy to hand over the gold. We've got Carrick, who's also hand over the gold. We've got Liz, who is going to abstain. We have Donard, Taras and Sylvia, who do not want to pay. Right, and we also have to see what this woman Fjodril makes of our offer of 200 gold. I'm going to say she's not happy with it. The odds of her going for that offer are around 10%. And no, that's 31, so she just laughs at the offer of 20 gold per horse and she says the price is 50. Now we did find on the Goblin Chief some very valuable gold earrings worth 100 gold each, so Carrick presents them and says, will this sweeten the deal? 20 times 24 horses is 480. We're now offering 680. What is that per horse? That's around 27 per horse. And right, well that's not that much better. Will she accept that on a roll of 20%? No, she flat out refuses that one as well. We have our own gold. We have 250 to offer as well, but I think that Taras is just going to say no, we've had enough. Sylvia is going to get ready to cast a spell. Donard also is going to get ready to cast a spell, Hold Person. And Taras steps back, takes his bow out. This is going to look dirty. And the 4 bandits around her also take their bows out. Right, and I think Donard says, right, it's time for us to set the price here. You're going to take our 20 gold, or this is your last day of trading. Right, now that's a bit stiffer. Will she accept at 50% or under? She does accept that. Right, so we have to accept that offer. Okay, we've walked about 200 yards away and Taras puts his hand up and tells us to stop. He's not happy, Sylvia isn't happy, Donard isn't happy. Liz is indifferent, Malin and Carrick both want to get back to the homestead. We have got the 24 horses tied up with ropes and Taras just says, this won't do. This elf, this horse trader, she's responsible in some way for the death of 2 people. And as Sylvia reminds them, also 17 horses, and she values these horses almost as much as human life. Donard, who doesn't know much about the area, suggests that maybe she was the one who sent the goblins to steal the horses. Taras thinks that's unlikely, but is up for the idea that the goblins knew that if they stole them, she would buy them. So even if she isn't directly involved, she is indirectly involved. And this is a frontier place. There is no higher justice that you can go to get things sorted. You have to do it all yourself. So Taras turns and he says, I'm going to get that gold back. We're not going to pay this horse trader with blood on her hands. She's not getting our gold. And since there's likely to be trouble, Malin casts his shield spell. What is happening back at the horse trader camp? Fjordril, the bandit leader, she is a level 4 elf and she can see us stopping, having a conversation, and it seems like we're having an argument. We're about 200 yards away, which is 600 feet. And she's got 2 spells, which we haven't really seen before. They are ESP and Levitate. So let's have a look. ESP is a range of 60 feet. That's 600 feet outdoors. That is the 200 yards away that we are. If she concentrates for a minute, she can read the minds of one person. If there are several people, the thoughts are jumbled up, and so she has to concentrate for another 6 rounds, which is a minute, to try and find a single mind. So she is going to cast ESP, and she's going to try and work out what Taras is thinking. Now the conversation we have has gone backwards and forwards, so she has 2 minutes to work out that indeed we're coming back for the money. She is going to cast her second spell, which is Levitate, and that lasts for 6 turns plus another 4, so that's 10 turns altogether. And when this spell is cast, the magic user may move up or down in the air without any support. This spell does not, however, allow the magic user to move from side to side. The motion up or down is at a rate of 20 feet per round. That's reasonably fast. The spell cannot be cast on another person or object. Okay, an extra stuff. What her plan is, her camp is underneath a tree and her signpost is nailed into that tree. She's going to levitate up into that tree as soon as she can to get out of way, should anything go wrong. She is also going to tell her 4 bandit comrades to make themselves scarce, in other words, hide in shadows if they can. And these bandits are level 3 thieves, and they have a 20% chance of doing that. So let's see how many of these thieves manage to hide within the bushes, and 2 don't. And none of them hide within the bushes. Okay, so they do make themselves scarce, but we can see them. So by the time she's done all of this, we've made it back to this camp. And Taras with his sword and shield, Donard and Carrick with their swords and shields out, Sylvia is getting ready to cast a spell, which will be magic missile. Liz is at the back with her bow. Malin has cast shield, and he is also at the back. We are expecting trouble. Taras demands the money back. Fjordril asks, all surprised, even though she's read his mind. She just says, but we had a deal. Are you really going back on a deal? Taras says, yeah, we've just upped the price. What you did was well out of order. Not only that, but if you're prepared to buy these horses off these goblins, and they know that you're in the market for it, they will steal again from us and sell them to you again, because they know that's a good way of making money, and you're the one with that money. Fjordril just says, so be it. Have it thee. Right, let's roll for initiative. And it's mutual. Right, her first attack is to cast Ventriloquism. Yet again, another spell we don't use. Ventriloquism, the spell allows the magic user to make the sound of his or her voice to come from somewhere else, such as a statue, animal, dark corner, or so forth. She has, we're told, a surprisingly deep voice, and I suppose she could impersonate something. So, behind us, she throws her voice to sound like an angry goblin about to attack. And how many of us turn round to look at that? So, anybody who rolls a 1 to 3 is distracted by that. And that's Sylvia, Liz, and Malin. Donard and Carrick are not. Right, so we've got 4 thieves, and one is on Donard, one is on Carrick, one is on Taris, and one is on Sylvia. Now Sylvia has turned around. This thief has a chance for a backstab on her. She does not have her bow ready. No, sorry, we'll do missiles first. Let's do Liz. That ventriloquism spell may have been disrupted. She's going to shoot at Fjordril. And yes, she hits, and she does 4 damage. Fjordril is from 17 to 13, so that ventriloquism spell of hers is interrupted. All that does not matter. Right. Second round is spells. Sylvia is going to cast her magic missile at Fjordril. And she does a measly 2 points. She's down from 13 to 11. Next up in the spells is Hold Person. And who doesn't love a good hold person? Right, now there are 4 bandits and they each get a saving throw. And a level 3 bandit saving throw is 15. So 2 fail. And all 4 of them fail. Right, those 4 bandits are held. Okay. So there's not much else to do but melee this horse thief. So Taras misses. Carrick could take her out in 1 hit. And indeed he does. Oh right, look at that. He does 14 damage. There, and she's struck down. Okay, right. Like all of these fights, they are on a knife edge. Had Liz missed, that ventriloquism spell would have gone off. At least Sylvia would have been distracted, so she wouldn't have cast her magic missile, and she could have been backstabbed quite badly. Well, there you go. Okay, that's that fight over with. Fjordril is dead. Right, so we're going to have to go through her stuff. She has a corral. We've taken the 24 white horses from it, plus another 10 horses, 8 riding horses and 2 war horses. So that's some compensation for the 17 horses which have gone. And we're told here, since the adventurers are currently riding borrowed horses, Taras will encourage them to choose mounts for themselves from these extra horses. So now we have horses. We'll go through her backpack. We take all our gold and the jewellery back from her corpse. The bandits have 75 gold worth of coins and other items. We're going to take that. And Fjordril spellbook. The book contains detect magic, light, sleep, ventriloquism, ESP, knock, and levitate. We do not have a lot of these spells, and previously I have not taken a spellbook because the player's manual does say that spells are learnt from scrolls. But when I didn't take them, a lot of people did comment that I should have, because you can learn spells from other magic users' spellbooks. Presumably if they're dead, therefore they have no say in the matter, so I'm actually going to do that. Why are spellbooks offered as treasure if they have to be discarded? But there must also be some rule that once you take a spell from a spellbook of a dead magic user, it extracts it for good. So both Sylvia and Malin can't learn ESP because when one of them learns it, the spell is gone. So this is a valuable magic treasure. When we get back to the homestead, both Sylvia and Malin are going to learn read magic, so they can each read this book and take from it what spells they don't have. As I say, this is new to me. It isn't strictly in the rules. But as I've just said, why is this offered as a treasure if it is to be useless? Okay, so that fight went over, and do we make it back to the homestead? Because it's coming into the evening, and we do not want to be walking through a forest with 34 horses. Those horses smell of live meat to any animal which might be hungry. They also will be seen as valuable treasure for any intelligent creatures who are looking for, well, to steal some horses. So we might have to pitch camp here for the night, which means when the night sets in, we're going to have to do a wandering monster roll. Right, and I have here blown up the map, so it is this area here, and this should make it easier for everyone to see, and it should make it easier for me to count hexes. We're told in these pull-out sheets there is a table of optional encounters, and to use it you should roll twice each night and once per day. Right, so that is the kind of wandering monster table for this whole adventure. And if you look at it, it has the different terrains, and it has day and night, and a roll of 1d20 will give you the result. For the nighttime encounters, I rolled twice, and I got no encounter, and then I got fire beetles. We have 6 people, and 2 people are taking watch every turn. Fire beetles, they're a lot easier than oil beetles, thankfully. They still have a pretty tough hide, and they don't do any bizarre damage. They have glowing glands above their eyes, which act as mini lamps. They can sort of be seen as well as heard in the distance, so there's a strange clicking noise. I'm going to roll to see who is on watch, and we have, in order of 1 to 6, Liz, Sylvia, Malin, Donard, Carrick and Taras. And that is Donard and Taras. Oh good, 2 good ones. And as they are watching around the campfire, they hear the noise of the beetles. 2 fire beetles come within sight of campfire. We haven't done a monster reaction roll for some time, so let's do that, because they might just walk off. And that's a 10, possibly friendly. Roll again. Well, they may have just been attracted by the fire. And that's 7, friendly. Yes. They were just attracted by the heat and the light of the campfire. Maybe they thought it was mating season. Well, all it takes is for Donard and Taras to lift a couple of burning brands out of the fire and wave it at them. And this isn't what the beetles were expecting. Perhaps the heat of the fire tells them that this is not another cold-blooded female beetle on heat. So they just walk off again into the night, and the night settles down. As I said, the second encounter was no encounter. "What will we do with this lot?" says Malin, pointing at the 4 paralysed bandits who have been tied up and are just coming round. "We'd better gag them," says Carrick, "in case they call for more help." So they're gagged. Taras says, "I can't think of what to do with them for tonight. We'll think about that in the morning." So after the night's encounters with the beetles, which didn't end in anything special, morning has come and it's time to work out what to do with these bandits. They don't have any equipment or weapons. Taras points to the body of Fjodril and says, "I have extracted enough blood. If these 4 make it out of the forest alive, they'll be lucky. I can't see that happening. Let somebody else actually commit the deed." So that's what the party do. They untie the 4 bandits and set them off into the forest with a rather sarcastic "good luck." Taras is kind of satisfied that they will meet their end and justice will be served by nature. And we get up in the morning and we have to make our way through this trail. We're here. This is Fjodrill's bandit camp. This W2 is the scene of the massacre with 17 horses and the viper goblins, where we got blistered to hell by some fire beetles, and we have to make it through here back to the camp. And by the time we get to here, we can move at 2 miles per hour. So that's 3, that's 12, that's 6 hours to get here, and then another 5 hours to get there. So if we set off first thing at light at 7 in the morning, it's going to take 6 in the evening to get back. However, there is a daytime encounter, and we hear in the trees above us that insidious, quasi-screeching, chirping sound of sturges. We can't quite see them. They may get surprise on us. They also may ignore us. Let's do a reaction roll for the sturges. And that is it, and that is uncertain. We're going to hurry the horses along. The last thing we want is for blood-sucking sturges to start attacking the horses. And 4, attack. Right, now we can't see them amongst the trees, so they could get a surprise roll. And they do. Right, there's 6 of them and there's 6 of us. When we first heard them and they were on that first reaction roll of uncertain, I'm going to say Malin would have cast shield. He knows what a sturge is. He knows we don't like them. Okay, so will they go for horse blood or human? I'll have them attack the party and leave the horses alone. You could argue that on the grounds that horse skin is thick and therefore difficult to find a vein. Right, so I'm going to do 6 sturges on each of the party, and they do 1d3 damage. Let's just run through everybody in order. 1 on Liz, misses. 1 on Sylvia, misses. 1 on Malin, AC 4. Their Thacker was 19, that's AC 7, it's a miss. The 1 on Donard, that's a miss. The 1 on Carrick, that's a miss. And the 1 on Taras, that's also a miss. So yes, obviously they're just sweeping overhead, trying to find an easy way into the jugular. Right, that was their surprise round. Let's roll for round 1. And they get initiative. So we're going to do all that again. 1 on Liz, misses. 1 on Sylvia, misses badly. 1 on Donard, misses. The 1 on Carrick hits AC 0, that's a miss. The 1 on Taras hits and does 5 points of damage off him. Sorry, 1d3. Poor Taras, he didn't get any morning healing, he only had 3 hit points taken off him. He's down to 9, and that sturge will keep sucking another 1d3 off him until he is dead. Our go, and everybody is on melee, so let's do Sylvia with the sword +2. And she hits, she kills the sturge on her. Some have 4 HP, some have 5. Let's do Liz with the sword, short sword +2, and she hits, she kills it. Let's do Malin with a dagger +2. Oh, he misses. What a shame. He rolled high. And then let's do Donard. And he hits and he kills one of the sturges. Tarek, Sturge Cleaver, is going to go for the one that's on Taras to try and save him. And he indeed hits, and indeed lives up to his name of Sturge Cleaver. It's dead. There are 2 left. Taras is going to go on the one that was attacking Carrick. And he misses. Right, so there are 2 Sturges left. Let's roll for round 2. And they get initiative. I'm going to do a morale check for them. let's just double check a sturge morale. It's quite high, it's 9, so they fight on. Right, so there's one on Malin and there is one on Carrick. The one on Malin, oh boy, max hit and max damage, takes 3 points off him. Right, Malin is going to need 2 heals. And the one on Carrick, yeah, bashes its proboscis into that horned helmet of his. Ergo, everybody is more concerned about Malin, especially Liz. And her melee attack was 15. She hit AC 5. And that is enough to kill that sturge on her brother. Sylvia hits and cleans out the other sturge. Well, that was much better than the sturges we found underneath the monastery in Horror on the Hill. Now Malin is going to get 2 doses of healing. He's going to get a staff of healing and a healing spell because he is down to 1 HP. That was rather foolish of us. Right, okay, 6 plus 2 is 8. Right, and that was the day's encounter. So we make it back to Kusin with the horses. And we're immediately hit with a small passage called Bad Tidings. By the time the party returns to Kusin, Gregor and 3 other men from lumber camp at Iliakana have arrived, bringing news of a goblin attack on the camp the night before the attack on Kusin. Refugees from Ilkana are described. Okay, the goblins from the Wolfskull and Redblade clans attacked at dusk, setting fire to the palisade, overrunning the camp. Well, we've seen that before. Gregor and his companions escaped, but they say Kalanos managed to hide. Kalanos, if you remember, was the captain of the boat when we got ambushed by the Iron Ring, but everyone else, including the crew of Kalanos' boat, was killed or captured. Piotr's brother, Stephen, he's the one who gave us this commission, was one of those taken prisoner. What was he doing there? That confuses me. I thought he stayed in Kelvin. Was he on the boat with us all the time? Refugees from Iliakana. Gregor, that's his appearance and his stats. And Yuri and Grisha and Grishkal are identical twins. Okay, we'll find out a bit more of them and Stephen next time. So, I'll see you then.